Yo, yo, yo. Welcome everybody to another installment of Around the NFL with me, Ryan Belisle, aka No Crypto, and Waruna Pereira, aka Waruna the Beast.
How are you, Ryan? How are you?
It's
Hello to
been a hell of a
everyone.
week.
Hell of a week. It's been a hell of a week. I don't think we will be able to see that kind of a weekend for the near future because that was epic.
That's not true. Look at what we have coming around this weekend. Okay.
Yes, but overall, the division, that divisional weekend, all the four games, it went down to the wire because if we think about the week prior, the wild card weekend, it wasn't that much fun. But this weekend, it was something else. High octane games, some defensive struggles, ugly games, but still, that though every game was relative, so it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, even like
Yes.
I went back and watched part of the Bengals and Titans game. I kind of passed out in the middle of it. But I watched that game. I was like, man, I missed a hell of a game here. It snoozed through. There's a lot of things going on here. So
Yes.
yeah,
So let's start with that game. So weekend was epic. The games were outstanding, I would say. I mean, yes, some of the games were not offensive uh, battles like we expect it to be defensive battle, but high drama. So first thing, Ryan Tannehill. I think I know where you stand with when it comes to Ryan Tannehill. Now I had an interesting thought after this game. We have to talk about little bit of 49ers in this scenario. Now, I myself complain about Jimmy Garoppolo that he's predictably unpredictable. He's consistently inconsistent. That's actually an advantage to 49ers. Now, that might sound crazy. Here's the reason that this thought came to me after the Ryan Tannehill game. They had number one seed, Titans. They came with they got Henry back. So they were basically healthy with the bye week and all. But they don't know, the Titans don't know when Tannehill is going to have a bad game. It happened before as well. I think they lost to Jaguars during the regular season. Same thing with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, both, I believe Matthew Stafford is, of course, the way better quarterback than Garoppolo. I believe Tannehill, if he's playing well, he's a better quarterback than Garoppolo. But the problem is, when these guys do go down, go off the cliff, the team struggles because these teams do not have workarounds or safety blankets to overcome this. But for 49ers, they know the limitations of Garoppolo, so they always try to find ways to get around it. Just have the Garoppolo as do the minimum. Even in the Packers game, during the first quarter, Garoppolo only had three passing attempts. So all were unsuccessful, but only three attempts of passing during the first quarter. So that means 49ers know exactly what their quarterback is and they are prepared. But unfortunately, Titans weren't prepared and basically Tannehill went down. So Ryan, what do you think?
well, I expected better out of Tannehill, even though I don't think as much of him. But I expected better from him. He also had some good passes. He had some good deep passes, but I it's like you were saying, they don't have anything to fall back on. And that's what I think one of the biggest problems about that team is your your style of aggressive running through your running backs all the way to the line is with such a very talented running back, it's hard to keep those guys healthy over time. It's surprising, Henry had been as healthy as he was this whole time because that guy is a beast. You know what I mean? Marshawn
Yes.
Lynch had issues. Marshawn Lynch had back issues there for a while. You know what I mean? His lower back from, doing all them stiff arms and doing all that type of stuff. It was just, hurting his back. So to me, you can't base your whole identity around like look at the 49ers again. Look at the 49ers offense. Okay. Yes, it's physical, but it's not made to be physical to where the backs are having to be physical to get that extra yard. You know what I mean? To actually, make the play. Some of them finish physical at the end after 4, 5, 6 yards. You know what I mean? And that's on their will at that point, not because they had to do it to get that extra third yard, or else, we're gonna be, second and third and long, So that's how I see it. It's not a way to shout out to Ekim. What up?
Yes. I think you should answer his question as well. It's a good question that we can debate on as well quickly. Uh, do you think Burrow
It's
is a
still in
top
the
five
playoffs,
NFL?
yes. Um, do
Mhm.
I think Joe Burrow is a top 5 quarterback right now? Is no, but he's totally knocking, and I do feel that any year, I don't know if he's going to make it to the Super Bowl, but if he makes it to the Super Bowl, I don't think that moment's going to be too big for that man. That man's got ice in his veins. So I think
Yes.
he's scary. Do I think it's going to happen this year? No. I think the Chiefs are, well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but no, I do think that, in the years coming, if he gets to the Super Bowl, it'll be a dead set match. I mean, he will put people out. As long as he's got a good enough cast around him, which obviously he should if he's in the Super Bowl, you know what I mean? He won't be the reason why they lose the game. Let's just say that. He won't be the reason.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Actually, I would agree with that as well. What you mentioned about Joe Burrow, I really like him as a quarterback. I think he's still not there in top five level in the NFL because you have so many good quarterbacks at the top five.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys who did not make to the playoffs this year, guys like Russell Wilson, is a
Just just
definitely top five.
just with like quarterback knowledge, there's more than 5 guys in the league right now who are more talented in just
Yes,
quarterback knowledge.
yes.
But
But as you said, it doesn't mean that Joe Burrow will not get there because he has all the talent, and as you said, ice in his veins. He has that all the
and
traits he
I
needs to be get there. Yes,
give him 2, 3 years, he'll definitely be a top 5 quarterback. I have a feeling. You know what I mean?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Once he starts feeling what the defense is doing, he's not even having to struggle to look. He just sees them move a certain way and he knows what they're doing and he calls the auto. You know what I mean? That's when you get to that upper echelon type. You know what I mean? Where the coach is like, well, here's a play, but go out and do whatever you think is going to work. You know what I mean?
yes, yes.
Yeah,
And I do agree with what Kim says here. They need to protect Burrow. They need
most
to
definitely.
upgrade the offensive line this off season because if
When
they
you
do not do that, they need to fire the person responsible for that. They need to upgrade.
yeah, when you've got a talent like Joe Burrow like that, and he to go there, he sold out to the franchise. You know what I mean? Like he was like, yes, I'll
Yes,
go there. I want to go there. I want to come and I want to bring championships back to my home state because we're laughed at by everybody. And that is extremely admirable, especially when you look at the past record of everybody that went to go do that same thing for that team. And
yes,
it was always something in the back of my mind is like, oh, I don't want to shit you down a hole for that team, just like every other one that's gone there. But to his credit, he's done it. I have a feeling he might be a part owner someday. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
I think
the
he's
way
gonna
he
make
is going right now.
I think he's gonna make changes to the point where the ownership is like, not only do we need to keep this man around until he retires, but we need to get this guy a part of the team because he has, Um, by
Yeah,
this time,
I
I
mean,
think he would have a lot of good knowledge. He would have a lot of, understanding about the game, and they'd want to have him in there because also he brings credit. He brings credit in a, like how would you put that better? He it's like when when you don't have good enough credit to get something, and you got to bring your parents in to co-sign on the loan. Like
yes,
the reason why John Lynch is in San Francisco, he totally
yeah,
makes Jed York look like a credible person because John Lynch is there to handle it.
yes. I mean, of course, because if you think about it, uh, what you said about Joe Burrow, most of the time, a franchise future is just a way. I mean, it's about having a good quarterback because this is the fifth time Chiefs making to the AFC Championship game, and out of that five, four has been done during, I mean, including this year with Mahomes. For
Yep.
past 50 years, there was only one chance. So basically, you are one good quarterback away from becoming a good franchise. So I agree with that. So just to wrap up our, uh, not the Tannehill discussion, Titans versus Bengals game. Were you surprised by that result? Number one seed going down or at home. Were you surprised?
No. Um. The the Titans, they look scary and do all this, but like they they're they're one dimensional. And if you make them
Yes.
play outside of their dimension, then they're they're open to failure. You know what I mean? You open up the links in their armor. You know what I mean? If you
Yes.
can stop that run game and force them to pass it, all their money is in that run game. You know what I mean? I know you've got Julio and all that stuff, but they're getting older, and those are only two people. You don't have a viable
Yes.
third. You know what I mean? It's not like, that they should have ran the ball. They should have ran the ball and kept running the ball. Just because you're down doesn't mean you need to stop running the ball. You need to first thing, it's great to run the ball in like the middle of the third quarter. You know what I mean? When your defense is just got off the field and you need to, get because it saves your defense for a good 10 minutes, right? And then
Yes.
you beat their defense in the face until you cross the line. Now the offense watch that and they go, "Oh crap." Then they go out there and they face a nice fresh defense. It's all psyched up because the offense just spanks somebody. And then, they now offense goes 3 and out. You give it back to your offense again. Now, guess what? The other team's more demoralized. Your team is more moralized. You get a better swing. You can start moving things quicker. You don't have to run on that thing. Hey, if you're gashing them, might as well stay running. You know what I mean? If you're gashing them, stay running. There's no sense in passing. You know, that's I, you would think they would understand that. I thought that was, football 101.
Yes, that's true. So, I thought I said we are going to wrap
Rookie
up
stuff.
the Titans discussion, but how much is Tannehill is responsible for this loss, percentage wise?
I don't say you can really, well, you can make a case to put it
Okay, if I
more of a blame
say
onto him,
Tannehill
but
is
I think you have
75%
to
responsible for the loss,
I
do
think
you
you have to
agree?
start I think you have to start from the coach down.
Okay, okay,
Coach is
but
calling the game.
so so okay.
The coach
Just
gave
to
up
wrap
on
it up,
his
let me ask you this: do you think he is the most responsible for this loss? Is it quarterback should have carried this team? Do you think, or do you still think okay, Tannehill was part of the reason, but it's overall everyone lost that game for Titans?
so if you thought that if you thought that he was going to be able to deliver like this in this moment on this field, you know what I mean? You were set up to lose anyways. So
Yes.
whether the coach thought he could do it, I just think it's more of the coach's fault for putting Ryan Tannehill in those positions. He gave up on his bread and butter. You know what I mean? Because look, I don't care if you got to waste 3 drives getting your running game started. You need to get your running game started when you're that type of a team. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to always threaten to run. And once you get it going, then they have to figure out how to stop it. And you can start passing now because they're running all over the field trying to figure out how to stop you from running because they think you're going to do that every single play. Okay.
True. Okay. So let's move on to our next topic. Brady and 3 to 27. Brady almost, I mean, Brady once came back from 3 to 28 because comeback of the Super Bowl. And this game almost he tied it up. And then you saw Matthew Stafford making that big throw. But the question is, how did Bucks let Cooper Cup get him behind that safeties, their secondary? But it happened eventually. I think Stafford delivered, but Rams, they had 4 fumbles, so they were almost choking at the end of the game, like they did in Week 18 against 49ers. But overall, do you think this game was the final, the curtains for Tom Brady, or was it embarrassing for, even though he came back later in the game? Do you think it was embarrassing that for here the Bucks and leaves any possibility, does not leave any possibility for Brady to come back?
um, Brady's coming back. Um, as far as I heard, somebody said something about his wife saying something about he ain't quitting till he gets his last one. So if that's the case, he was stating, I gotta, I might step away because of my wife and my kids. Well, if his wife's saying, hey, he's not this and that, that's saying that, hey, I'm not telling him to step away. And this is what his intentions that he's always said to me. So if he was just, I think he was just emotional in the moment. You know what I mean? He
Yes.
he he had it in his hand and it went bye. And I don't know if you want to ask me, but I think that's kind of on the coach's fault because
Okay, so that's
got
where
away
I
from the
was
run
going
game.
to go next. That's where I was going to go
Let's
next.
get
So
there.
do you think that I mean, they had injury problem this year compared to last year? They had injury problems. They had off-field drama, yes, with Antonio Brown and whatnot. But do you think it's just injuries, or the other teams in the NFL caught up to Buccaneers? Because last year it was kind of a surprise package. They were just they struggled during parts of the regular season. Season in 2020, the COVID year and everything. Then they had the opportunity of playing in almost empty stadiums, playing 3 road games. So, but this year, I believe, especially when it during the playoffs, they are the matchups were much closer. So Rams had, the Bucks had bit more challenge. So do you think it's just a problem about injuries or coaches, or just other teams just know that, okay, this is the Bucks number, we are going to handle this team?
So I'm sure injuries played a role in all that. Like they were definitely not healthy coming into this. I mean, I think they were the most, other than the Packers going like up into the game, they were probably tied with the Packers for being the most unhealthiest. You know what I mean? But game time, they were the unhealthiest. You know what I mean? I'd say. Um, they if you got Leonard Fournette, if you got Leonard Fournette, and he's not in concussion protocol, or he's not broken to the point where he's like, I can't play. You run. with Leonard Fournette, and that's you don't think twice about it. Um, and a lot of people again stop giving up on the run when you're down. If you do things right, you can keep running and running and running. You're going to gas that D out. You're going to make the other team have to call a timeout in the second half just to give their defensive line a refresh. Okay. That's going to be great for when you want to go down at the last second and, waste all the time and they can't call a timeout. You know what I mean? Or
Yes.
when you got the lead and you've got to punt it back to them, they can't be stopping the clock on you. You know what I mean? This is all the type of things. And what do? It gives your team a rest at the same time.
Yes, that's true. So other than that, let's talk about Rams a bit over here as well. Now they looked like going for a blowout victory.
Yeah.
I mean, some made some great plays, and we talked about Odell Beckham Jr. during our initial podcast this season during the regular season, but I think I was totally wrong on that. He's nicely coming back, mixing up. He's contributing a lot to this team, but
Odell Beckham
do
is
you?
going to be Odell Beckham's going to be the key to this next game. And
Yes.
Akers not
So
fumbling. And I
yes.
think
So
okay.
yeah, I was going to ask the question. So, do you think still Rams has some kind of like choke gene where they know what to do, they have the resources, tools, everything, but there is still some kind of a thing that they are unable to get it over the line at times. Maybe they are a bit too worried or scared to do the next thing. So how do you see this team? How come for a moment, let's say if you're a Rams fan, how comfortable, confident would you be going to facing 49ers who have beaten you 6 games in a row, and especially the last game week 18 where you had the chance to put the game away? How confident would you be?
Not at all. So I don't know what it is. I watched a clip today of Jalen Ramsey getting beat twice on the same play and then walking over to the defensive back coordinator and complaining about like how he's put in these bad situations. And then he says he's the best cornerback in football and it's undisputed. And it's like, well, I just saw you get beat twice in the same play. The second time you shouldn't have got beat. He was you could tell he was like upset that he got beat the first time. And because of that, he was pouting and he got beat the second time. That is not something the best cornerback in the game does. Okay. So
Yes,
there's
that's true.
things like that. Aaron Donald, he's supposed to be such a great player. What does he do? He is all about himself. He continuously gets upfield and gets pressure and takes himself out of the play. 49ers run right at him. Why? Because he's going to come up field 2 yards and you're just going to put somebody on his side of his shoulder and stop him from stepping backwards into the hole. And then you're going to run somebody right behind him. That's what this
So,
team's all
are
about.
you suggesting, Ryan? I think that's a very
But
interesting
hold
take.
on. This is the other thing.
Yeah.
I want to
Okay.
say a key to the success, maybe. Well, we'll talk about that on Friday. We'll talk
Yeah.
about.
So,
I'll say that on Friday.
just wanted to ask, since you stepped into a very, I would say, interesting territory. Do you think this Rams team is collection of superstars rather than a team who gel together? Because sometimes you can have like whatever the number, let's say 11 superstars on your team, still you can lose because it's not a team. But you can have uh, 11 good players and they can be a super team because they play as a team. So do you see something here, Ryan, with the Rams?
So I think obviously I can't speak on it, but it seems to me like the D line kick it, the linebackers kick it, the defensive backs kick it. Maybe Jalen Ramsey probably kicks it all by himself because he's so damn good. He can't find anybody on his level to kick it with. Um, and then, you know what I mean? So I think it's kind of like that. Now, the 49ers or, other teams are probably like that too, where they've got their different groups that they kick in, but they other teams they go in between the different groups and stuff like that. I don't think this is a so back in the day when you're in high school and you playing high school football and some of the good teams what they'll do is they'll go off for like a week together and they'll practice and they'll train and they'll spend the night with each other essentially like in dorm rooms and whatnot and you'll eat together, you do all that and you become one as a unit. That's not the
Yes.
Rams. You've got 2 plays in. You've got Jalen Ramsey socking the safety in the face. Like, what is that? Like,
Yes.
save that shit for the other players. Like, first thing, you shouldn't be hitting your own players. You shouldn't be hitting other players. You should
Yeah.
be saying things to other players without the refs hearing that makes people want to hit you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
That's true.
it,
So overall, what are the things that you noticed other than Bucks eventually going out and Rams making progress? So now Matthew Stafford, he won his second playoff game. So previously he was 0-3. Do you think Matthew Stafford has the ability to march into the Super Bowl, given what we saw, especially on last Sunday, that he has the ability to bail out his team? That was what he did, connecting with Cooper Cup. So overall, do you think Rams had apart from the fumbles and all, Rams had a good game? Uh, Final thoughts about this one?
well, any win's a good win, a good game. They I don't feel they proved undisputedly that they deserve to have that role or have that spot other than the fact that they have it. You know what I mean? Like that game was theirs to lose and they almost gave it away. So,
Yes.
you know what I mean? It it is what it is. They're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
They're
So
they they
yes. So before
they
we
need to
move
start
on to
wearing their
the
pads. So they need to start wearing their pads today like the Cowboys did.
yeah,
We're gonna put the
yes.
pads on a day early, boys. We're gonna show them how it's done.
So before we move on to our next topic, just want to answer the what Kim has said here. I mean, yes, of course, Brady had
Yeah.
an incredible
How do you
season, but
how do you retire? How do you retire on stats like that?
to me, I would say that would be the best situation to retire, because you need to retire when you are at peak, not rather than like retire at level what Brett Favre did, because Brett Favre eventually he was going down the cliff, but he still wanted to hang on. But I think good players need to realize the best way to retire is when you are at your peak. Doesn't mean that you have to retire like Andrew Luck, who retired very early in his
So
career. But I would say this is the best time. But just to answer this question, I don't think Brady coming back to the 49ers. Just the reason is you have the next successor in the building, Trey Lance, and whatever the reason, I mean, we battled out through this year, 49ers know that if they have a capable enough quarterback, they can win. So I don't think they will again mess up things, complex things, going down the Brady path while keeping Trey Lance sit for another year. So I think it's a very slim chance, but you never know.
hey, I wouldn't mind it. I really wouldn't. If it was
Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, yes,
for
of course.
Brady, if if you were gonna sit Trey behind one quarterback out of everybody, yeah,
Yeah,
him
that I
or
would
like
agree. Yeah, I'm not
him or
against the idea, but I would say I don't. I
him or
would say
Aaron
it's
Rodgers.
very slim chance.
Him
Yes.
or Aaron Rodgers, that would be the two guys that because they they're older. They're not going to stay around much longer, and they got all that knowledge. And Trey
Yes.
seems like the guy who's just like, I got somebody who knows everything to ask questions to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
like if I was in that situation, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll sit behind Tom Brady for a year. Yes, please. Yes, please. Do you need me
Yeah.
to take a pay cut? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
That's true.
Not that they need him to, but you know,
Yeah. So, and I think probably the
talking to a lot of
best game
Niners.
of the last week, 13-second meltdown. Now, Dak Prescott, he had 14 seconds to tie the game or get over the line, but he couldn't do it. But 13 seconds was more than enough for Patrick Mahomes to drive down the field,
The
get the
lane.
field goal, and eventually won the game. I think this is one of the best football games I have ever seen because the reason is, as I said in our one of our initial episodes, the way Josh Allen is playing, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable because if Allen played at this level from the start of the season, he would have been the MVP by very large margin. But it's nowhere close to the other quarterbacks play. But two quarterbacks playing at this level, probably they were clearly the two best quarterbacks in the league. The way they played. So, how
Yeah,
excited were you watching that game?
I was in the beginning. I was like, well, so what I remember, I got pages of notes, but I don't really have to really look back at them now. But I remember watching the Bills go down the field in the beginning there, and just being in awe of how almost patented and scripted it looked. You know what I mean? Like it was just everything was perfect and planned out. It was like almost like the Chiefs were a part of it. You know what I mean? And they were supposed to do everything to let it was just crazy. And then the
Yes,
Chiefs, they went down the field, they got it done, but it was over a lot of, messy plays. And that kind of
yes,
worried me. That I thought, I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with this because, when you're able to make it look that good, it's easy to just keep repeating and repeating, and that's also very detrimental to your defense and demoralizing. So, like, all right, and then all of a sudden it's like they both stalled out for a second. Like nobody was really moving much except for, like the Chiefs kind of got a couple points ahead, and then
yes,
the Bills started to come back, and then they both were just trading. I remember the last page and a half is, well, one of the pages is just the last 2 minutes of the game,
yes,
and there was four different lead changes or tie. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
four different scores in the last two minutes. Like I couldn't write stuff down fast enough. It was amazing. Like it was some of the craziest I've ever seen. And the overtime, I knew the person who get the bowl, you know what I mean? How
eventually win. Yes, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
how do you not after seeing that for the last 2 minutes, knowing that they can just score and well, one of them can score in 13 seconds. Like, are you kidding me?
Yes, yeah. So
But
my question is here. Bills, the number one defense coming into this game. How did this happen? Because they were like, I I don't think the way I saw during that weekend, again I said Titans. Bills were not the number one defense. It was clearly the 49ers. 49ers were the number one defense during that weekend. How and the one other thing is I think everyone talked about it. During that 13 seconds, why would you kick for touchback? Because Tyreek Hill was not there for the kick return as far as I remember during that last play. So who should you fire? And especially what happened to that defense because they were number one defense coming into this game.
so
What happened there?
there's you touched on one big call. The other big call was the Pickett defense. There when they got 13 seconds left and two timeouts, and you're guarding the sidelines. They've got two.
Yes,
They might not be able to use both timeouts, and you're worried about them being on the side, getting out of bounds. No, they're going for a chunk play right down the middle. Like, get there. But yes, they should have done a squib kick. They should have done a squib kick. You could at least probably 3 seconds.
I would say at least 5 seconds if they did that.
It could look. I'm just being, bare minimum. You're talking about
Yeah,
three
minimum.
seconds,
Exactly.
and you're talking
Yes, bare
about
minimum.
maybe giving them an extra 10, 15 yards.
Yes.
I think the time is way more crucial than the 15 yards at that point.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, they screwed it up eventually entirely. But the problem I had with that, why, if we forget about that 13 seconds, why could not they come up with a better performance overall as a defensive unit?
Oh,
Because they were
bro.
just, sometimes they were non-existent.
So going back to what I know, 49ers 2019. Great defense. Look at the game against the Saints. 49ers Saints, back
True.
and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth,
Yes, that's
all
true.
freaking game long. So what happens? I don't know. Some people just got better schemes. They know what's going on. They know they're taking a step before you're making it. So like you come out with a better game plan, and right as they're making their adjustment, you're adjusting to your game plan already. So now their adjustment doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? In fact, their adjustment probably is the what causes you to go the different way. So now their adjustment makes something else open. And when they go back to cover that, then you go back to something else. You know what I mean? And you just keep on staying one step ahead of them. And that's hard to do. You know what I mean? Because, yeah,
Yeah, yes.
it's
So other
hard to.
than that, now it seems like Chiefs peaked at the right time because there were some struggles during the middle part of the season. Now they are back at it. I mean, they are playing the best football of this season. I mean, in terms of uh, Mahomes always has the chemistry with Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, but the team playing well. They are not turning over the football, so that's a large part of the reason during to this week's win. Are you afraid that Chiefs are just going to steamroll over all the teams and just roll over all the teams and take the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, their second Super Bowl in just 3 years? What do you think?
No, there's ways to beat the Chiefs. People have done it. Chiefs can beat
Okay.
themselves. So no, I'm not scared. Is it a probability? Oh yeah. But am I scared? No. It's football. It's not like, it's not like I got money on the game, or, my child's gonna be at risk if, something goes somewhere, no. I, the the Chiefs aren't my boogeyman. I don't really have one when it comes to things. I think the Chiefs are like the Chiefs offense is kind of like the Seahawks defense back in 2013, 14. The
Legion of
mystery.
Boom.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just that, it was their scheme. Their scheme was just giving people fits. And then everybody realized what their scheme was and how the scheme worked and how to pick it apart. And next thing you know, they were just a regular everyday team. They didn't
True,
evolve.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But the only thing is when it comes down to a game eventually that still you have Mahomes. That's what we saw even from the Bills' perspective, they had Allen. I don't think there was any other quarterback who could have keep up with Mahomes at that pace. But
No.
Allen did a remarkable job. So I think probably within next couple of years he will win an MVP award if he keeps continuing, because from year to year you can see there is a development, because the Josh Allen version that we saw this year during the playoffs was much better than what we saw
Well,
during the last year. So
can I
there is a
can I put this to you?
yes,
So it seems like both Mahomes and Allen, the more they get the ball, um, the the more they can do with it. You know what I mean?
yes,
Like once they shake off whatever pregame rust or whatever it is, and they're going through the progressions, as long as they get the ball back at some point in time, that's in a quick span of like a minute or two, they're ready to go and they're ready to execute the same way. So I think when you've got two quarterbacks like that in the same game who are just zipping down the field, you know what I mean? They're both in their
yes,
rhythms. They're both going, you know what I mean? And it's hard to get off other than letting the team score. You know what I mean? It's hard to
yes.
because and so yeah.
And
So I
another
think
thing is it's combination of many things because if you see compare them to some other quarterbacks like middle tier quarterbacks, these guys have the athletic ability. They are
yeah.
really smart decision making, and they can do whatever they want, and they have ultra high confidence in their game because they are not going to make some stupid decisions. They know what they are going to do, and they just depend on it. They know
Ma-
they are going to get it
Mahomes
done.
Mahomes he so I think Mahomes thinks he's tougher than he is. Like I'm not saying he's not tough.
Yeah,
I'm just saying sometimes when he's running with that ball, and I know there's times where you need to, go for it, but there's times where you didn't really need to go for it, and he
yeah,
kind of went for it. And I was surprised he wasn't a little more injured or didn't, pop up a little slower than he did. And I think, he needs to watch himself because
yeah,
if
true.
if he's not any sort of on his game for these next two games, because I think he's gonna. Well, we got to it yet. Anyway, I
Yes,
just to finish the rest of the season. If he wants to try and finish the rest of the season, he has to be the Patrick Mahomes. He can't
yeah,
be a version of Patrick Mahomes. He has to be the Patrick Mahomes. Oh, what a
yes.
pioneer!
Pino, Pino. Finally, Pino is here. So, I mean, let's get the our next topic and address this with. Let's start with Pino's comment. Bengals and Chiefs game. So let's read through it. Bengals have the firepower to win an offensive, and the Chiefs defense is a garbage. True. Two big differences is the Bengals O line and then Reed will outcoach Zach Taylor. It's the 49ers versus Chiefs in Super Bowl. I don't want to see Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but Ryan, let's start this topic. Do you think at Bengals at least have a 10% chance to make a go to Arrowhead Stadium and win that game? At least 10% chance. You need to give me some hope
I
and
would
tell me
say,
why
I
Bengals
would
can win.
say with Chase and Burrow, you got a 25% chance.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'm sure Joe Burrow could do it with any wide receiver with that talent, but I think because it's Chase and they've known each other for so long, it multiplies it up another 5, maybe 10%. You know what I mean? So maybe 10% Joe Burrow, 5% Chase, and then an extra 10% bonus because it's Chase and Burrow. So 25% there.
Yes. So
Okay.
other thing is there might be a no, I mean advantage. I'm not sure whether Tyron Matthew is going to play because I
So
believe he's
he
under concussion protocol.
He's still Andy Reid seems to sound like, oh, he'll be okay in the next couple of days. It sounds like that was his, undertones of the words he said. He's just said
Okay.
he's doing fine, but you
Yeah.
know, um yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Concussions are a thing. If he's not out there, I don't know if it's even that much of an issue. I mean, he's a talented guy, but he can get taken out of a game at any point in time. Tom Brady said some words to him and he just crawled into a shell.
Yes. So I have to ask this now. 49ers, compared to other teams, they succeeded, especially lately, shutting down wide receivers. For the last game, they was they were able to successfully shut down Devante Adams. Yes, he had some plays, but still they were able to shut down Packers for just 10 points. But do you think Bengals have any chance of shutting down either Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelsey? Because Kelsey and Tyreek Hill combined, they always make these chunk plays. And if Tyreek Hill get into open space, then it's you are done because you are not going to catch him. So do you think whether they can come up with some scheme or maybe some double coverage or something like that, at least to keep Chiefs under some manageable points? I'm not going to say keep them under 10 points, maybe at least 25 points, so that Burrow and Jama Chase uh, have some kind of a breathing space, have time to get that win.
So the best way to suffocate the Chiefs offense is essentially to put them in a phone booth. If you can figure out a way strategically to put them in a phone booth, keep everything in front of you, and fight like a dog for anything over the top, and make it so very it's not a beneficial to throw in double coverage, so you're going to pick what you can underneath, and hopefully the linebacker gives you a lane. I think that's what you need to that's how you attack that offense. You have to figure out how to put them in a phone booth and have a knife fight with them, because they are not good at that. But
Yes, I think
once you open that door, it's over. Once you open up that door and they can walk out, it's over. You're screwed.
yes,
You're never catching them.
yes. And we have real Pino over here because if you read the comment, the real Pino,
Yeah.
you can identify it's real Pino. Bengals have a chance. I think the edge goes to the Chiefs, and I want all that smoke to run it back with those bitches. I know we can beat them. George Kittle will be the Super Bowl MVP. Quote me. I mean, I will pray to the God that it will happen, Pino. And now we are authentic because I just good. I mean, realize this is you. So, Brian, what do you think?
What do I think? Do I think? Yeah, no. I think they have I think they've got a chance, but I don't think it's that much of a chance. I don't think
Hmm.
their defense is anything there that can really put them in that phone booth. You know what I mean? Um,
Yes.
most of what they got is on offense, and if 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 they could figure out just how to keep up with Mahomes and his scoring, and find one or two ways to stop a drive or have them commit a turnover, then I think they can win. But other than that,
Yes.
I would I kind of want to run it back with the Chiefs, and I want to stick them in the phone booth, and I want to stick them with the butterfly knife.
Yeah. I think turnovers would be the key because even the game that Bengals won during the regular season, the score was 34-31. So it was a close game. Chiefs had chances. Yes, turnovers would be the key. But
Yeah.
I think yeah, it would be difficult to go there in Arrowhead Stadium, especially against a team that has played 4 AFC Championship games, uh, who has been
And
to
you
the
got it.
Super Bowl.
You have to use Chase more, kind of like Debo, not necessarily like
They did that. They did
oh
that during the wild card weekend against
yeah.
the Raiders. They did that. So yes, just throw everything that you have. I mean, I think Chase is ready to do that. I think he's willing to get involved more because he knows that if the team needs to win, he has to do whatever he can. So, uh, but still, I would say the chance is with the Chiefs. But let's see. I just want to see a good game because divisional round the weekend was superb. So I just want to see a good matchup, the championship weekend. So
I
that's
have a
all we
feeling
have.
I
Yeah,
have a
go ahead.
feeling it's going to get better as the weeks go on. So this week will be better than the last week. Last week was better than the week before, and
Yes.
Super Bowl will be better than this week. I have a
Yeah.
feeling that it's all mounting up to be that.
One of the epic Super Bowls.
Yes.
Yes, we'll hope so. So I think this is it. So these are the topics that we wanted to cover today. So we did not touch too much of 49ers game or the topics because we did a post-game show right after the game on Sunday. Then we are going to talk about Chiefs, 49ers versus Rams game this Friday, most probably around the same time at 6 o'clock Pacific time. So, Ryan, what do you have to say before we wrap up?
I want to thank you, Kim and Pinor, and everybody else that showed up to watch. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I know I will.
No, have an average day.
Average, man. Can we do it all over? Yeah,
Yes, yes, oh yes, you should do it again. Yes,
let's do it all over again. Okay.
yes,
I just want everybody to have a average weekend or an average day. Man, I messed it up. Have an average day.
we out.